Hi everybody, I'm Mike, this is a bunch of Guns and Gear Reviews, and today we're going to take a look at how to safely load and unload a semi-automatic pistol. Stick around, maybe we'll learn something together. So 2020 has been pretty crazy, right? Along with all that, and most likely as a consequence of it, there have been a whole lot of new gun owners out there. And to all of you out there who are new gun owners, which given the fact that you're watching this video, you probably are, I want to say welcome to the club. I think it's great that you've decided to exercise your Second Amendment right to own a firearm, but along with that right comes a responsibility to learn how to do so safely. Let me start this off by saying that I highly encourage you to go take a basic pistol class so that you can learn to do all of these things in person. But until you do, you're going to need to know a couple things. So this video is meant to show you how to safely load and unload a semi-automatic pistol. But before I do that, I want to go over a couple other things that you desperately need to know. That's the 4 rules of gun safety. Number 1, always keep your gun pointed in a safe direction. Don't ever point it at anything you're not willing to destroy, people, because this thing spits projectiles at a high rate of speed, and it's going to damage whatever it hits, and you don't want that to hit something that you don't intend it to hit. Number 2, always keep your finger off the trigger. The trigger is how you activate the gun. It's the little thing that you squeeze, and it causes the gun to go off. If you don't squeeze that trigger, the gun's not going to go off, right? So keep this away from the trigger until you're ready to shoot. Number 3, keep your gun unloaded until it's ready for use. If it isn't loaded, can't shoot, can it? And if it can't shoot accidentally. So keep it unloaded until you're ready to use it. And number 4, always know your target and what's beyond. If you're shooting at something and you're not paying attention to what's behind it, if you miss the target, you're going to hit whatever's behind it, right? I mean, that just makes sense. You want to make sure that what's behind it is something innocuous, like back behind me. Do you see that dirt berm? I know that if I miss my target, or if it goes through my target, it's just going to hit that dirt and nothing's going to be hurt. So make sure that you know your target and what's beyond. So the first step in how to load and unload your pistol safely is finger off the trigger, point your firearm in the safe direction. So what do I mean by finger off the trigger? Well, this, while it's off the trigger, is not sufficiently safe. If you have your finger on the trigger guard, it's real easy to trip, stumble, get bumped, and go from this to this, finger on the trigger, real quick by accident. So when we say finger off the trigger, we mean finger up alongside the frame, so that it's far less likely that it'll get anywhere near the trigger guard. Okay, so finger off the trigger, point in a safe direction, eject the magazine. On most modern pistols, the magazine release button is going to be right there. You might find it down here on a smaller or a European pistol or an older pistol, but for purposes of this demonstration and for most practical purposes, magazine release is there. So you press the magazine release in on most pistols and it ejects the magazine. The way you want to think of this is like this gun is an unruly toddler that's about to eat something that you don't want it to eat, or is in the process of eating a plate of something you don't want it to eat. So the first thing you do, take away its food, right? Take away its food source, take away its plate. So you take the magazine away. Next, you pull the slide to the rear and lock it back. This part along the top of the pistol that moves back and forth when it fires is called the slide. In order to lock it to the rear, you're going to want to press up on the slide stop. That's this lever right here. Usually that's where it's located. Notice how it moves up and down. That up and down motion of the slide stop causes it to catch in a notch on the slide. When you push up on the slide stop while pulling back on the slide, The slide stop goes up into the notch on the slide and locks it back. So now you've opened the toddler's mouth. So what do? You look and you feel to make sure it doesn't have anything in its mouth that you don't want it to have. All right? So what I do is I visually, and in case it's low light or bad light or whatever, or I got something in my eyes or whatever, I'm in the habit of physically, I stick my pinky down in there to see, inspect the chamber to make sure it's clear. Okay? So let me go through that all again without the toddler analogy. Point the pistol in a safe direction while your finger is off the trigger. Eject the magazine. Pull the slide to the rear and lock it back. Visually and physically inspect the chamber to make sure it's clear. Okay, so now you have a safe pistol. How do you load it? So you'll notice that the magazine is pointed in a particular direction. It leans one way. That's towards the front of the gun, so that's where you're going to want the front of the bullet to be. Now, just for show, so you guys know, this is not a real bullet. This is something called a snap cap. You can put these in for demonstration purposes and to do some dry fire so you don't damage your firing pin. But we'll go over that in a different video. So you find which way the bullet's pointed, right? Which is the point. So that's where the front of the gun is. So you want the flat part of the bullet to go in facing the back of the gun. So you put the flat part of the bullet in first, push down, and back. Let me show you that again up close. You put the flat part of the bullet in first, you press down and back, and that loads it into the magazine. And you do that until you've loaded either as many rounds as you want or until the magazine is full. If you're having trouble doing that, you can put the magazine on a table and use the table or another hard surface as leverage, and you press down and in, down and in, down and in. So now you want it to eat. So you want to put the plate in its table, put the plate where it's supposed to be. So in other words, you take the magazine and put it in this part of the pistol in the grip. This place where the magazine goes is called the magazine well. What I like to do is I like to put the magazine in my hand like this, with the bottom of the magazine right in that little cup part of my hand, with my finger touching the point of the first bullet. That way, all I have to do is point right where I want it to go. I point right at the magazine well, and that's where it goes. So now that I have it there, all I have to do is push it in firmly to make sure that it catches and it stays. So now, if you look through the ejection port, you can see that you have the bullets in there. Remember, see, the magazine goes in the magazine well, goes up. Now you can see that you have a magazine full of bullets in there. So now you close the slide. You can do this one of two ways. The first way is really easy. You just pull back and let go. Do not be tempted to pull back and gently ease it forward. Look what just happened. The slide didn't go all the way forward. Everything bound up and it caught in there. So now this gun won't fire because I eased forward on the gun. People think that they're going to hurt the gun or something if they just pull it back and let it go, but that's not the case. You're not going to hurt the pistol. The pistol is designed to go back and forth really, really hard. It's going to stand up to it. So by you loading it, you're not going to hurt it. Don't be afraid to just pull back and let go. It's going to go through more violent motion whenever it's being fired than you're ever going to do to it by hand. So don't sweat it. There is another way to do it though. You have the pistol locked back, insert the magazine, and we go back to the slide stop. Now, remember, you pushed up on this to lock the slide back, right? Well, if you push down on it, look what happens. Slide goes forward and it chambers the next round. So again, pistol lock back, loaded magazine, put the magazine into the magazine well, pull back and let go. If you have a safety, put it on safe. So there you have it, folks. That's how you safely load and unload a semi-automatic pistol. I hope that you continue your education in firearms. I hope that you get some in-person training, because you can watch a million YouTube videos and it's never going to substitute for actual hands-on physical instruction with a certified instructor. So find somebody in your area and you know, go take a class and have some fun. I'm Mike, this is Budget Guns and Gear Reviews, and that was my look at how to safely load and unload a semi-automatic pistol. If you like what you saw, please like, share, subscribe. Consider becoming a patron on my Patreon account. Every little bit helps me bring content like this to you. And as always, come on back. Maybe we'll learn something together.